Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all again. We are usually going to, we usually do a pre-show to the CWJahTalk shows, but it's been a while. You know, we've done a couple recently, but we started doing CWJahTalks pretty regularly. And then we developed several series within the CWJahTalk show series. But then we had several other series outside of the CWJahTalk series, like the Bible and the Trinity and Conflict. And so, while many of those shows and other shows would qualify technically as CWJahTalk shows, they don't have the same type of format typically. Maybe a few of them do. That was originally the plan for this series, the CWJahTalk series, a sort of regular, formatted, sub-themed discussion with minimal chat involvement. That doesn't mean we don't get involved, and sometimes we do, like during these pre-shows. I can see Everett is already on fire. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Everett. Yeah, we absolutely can. Are you sure that's the text that you want to talk about? Just verify that. We'll go right to it right now. And then we'll start the show. Like I said, we typically, with these CWJahTalk shows from the start, except for a few that I might have done offline and uploaded, we have like a casual opening discussion that can be on topic or off. And then later on, if it's, you know, something directly related to the subject, I'll leave it in. But if not, I usually will cut out the pre-show. And so it formally is introduced as welcome to CWJahTalk, which I'll do in a few moments. Within 5 minutes, we'll give people a chance to join us live if they want. But within about 5 minutes, I'll sort of do a formal introduction, like I also do in other series. But with this one, then, if I want to just have it as part of the really, you know, more formatted show, I guess format or series idea I had, then I can do that. And I can always then upload the pre-show stuff if it's something that's helpful to people on another subject, if it's not included. So that's kind of how it works here on these shows. Whereas in the show like we had yesterday, Christian Witnesses of Jah live discussion, that's just what it is from start to finish. So there's no more formal introduction. But here there will be in like a few minutes. So, but Everett had a question, one of our regular and strong participants, of course, in faith, Everett Commodore. Let me say hi to everybody actually first here. Again, I apologize for being a few minutes late. This is CWJahTalk number 50. Can you believe it? Like I said, we could be probably close to or well over 100 on the more formatted shows if we wanted, but that's just not how I did the other series or videos. So here we are at 50. My plan was to do 100. Right before or after I did the first one, I said, okay, I'll try to do 100 of these. So I'm halfway there. And it feels pretty good. It feels like I accomplished something, at least, because I remember distinctly saying that if I can do 100 of these shows, that would be good. You know, if I can do 100 videos, CWJahTalk videos that are helpful to people, help build the Christian community, that I think would be great. Now, we're well over 500 videos, and some are just uploads or clips from other videos, but again, we're well past 100 in terms of total live or uploaded separate videos, but I'm still planning on doing 100 at least, or after 100, we'll either keep going or I'll retire this series and we'll just do other videos. But that's, I think, important, to have a goal, something to strive for, whether large or small. This was kind of a, little bit larger goal. I knew it would take several years, obviously, and it'll take several years more, probably, depending on how many shows I include in this CWJahTalk series, right? So, I could have the next, outside of the already predefined series that are not included, like Bible and Training Conflict and several others. Right, I'm not gonna move those over into CWJahTalk. So they are what they are. They'll be what they are. We have much more to do there and other videos. So, I'll try to do 1 or 2 a month, maybe one at least. But we have a lot of stuff to get to. Right, we've got the Athanasius series to continue, and the Bible and Training Conflict I mentioned, several others. We have our Christian Witnesses of Jah discussion every Saturday, pretty much. Sometimes I change it. I try to do the time that's most accommodating to people, but I know it's not always convenient. So you can join us live, great. If not, then we know that you'll watch later, and you're free to comment and tell us what you think. So before we kick off the official discussion, I want to say hi to everybody, and we're going to go to the Bible Hub and take a look at a text that Everett has brought up. Just as part of our general discussion here, we try to, again, meet at least once a week, but more if possible, so that we can do this, do our formal video presentation, have some community discussion. I try to answer questions when I can. I'm pretty busy on the side, so it's actually best to do it now or in comments to the videos, because I just don't have a lot of time, for extended discussions in other venues because I'm too busy. I may be present or doing things, but it's just very hard, whether it's email or otherwise. If you're live, though, especially live, right, because I'm right here. So it's just, this is the best time. Now, sometimes we don't have time. Let's see if we can do this quickly, Everett, but meaningfully, right? I don't mean to rush. Thanks again for the super chat. It's very kind of you. Very generous. And again, all of you are, right? Some of you contribute in different ways. And here, that's not necessary, and you shouldn't feel like you have to. In fact, I believe you should keep your money, including Everett. But I appreciate what Everett and others do. And I'm not going to refuse it, like we're taught in the New Testament. So unless I thought Everett or others were giving what's the word I want? Detrimental to themselves, right? If what they were, then I would say no. But otherwise, I'm here to build a community that's hopefully grateful, right? Appreciative, and also doesn't take advantage of people. That contributes when you want to, and then that just shows your love, right? We don't owe anyone but love, and so now I owe Everett love, right? Let's go to the text. Was it John 10:40? John 10:40, Everett. I think that's what you wanted to see. Let's go to it. Kind of seems like it might be Trinity, huh? But I think Everett has something else in mind, everyone. Let's take a look. Oh, and I want to say hi to everyone else. But first, I'll bring this up so you don't have to wait. Let me go over here. While that comes up. Oh. Yeah. What happened there? Oh, there we are. So let me go ahead and say hi to everybody, and then we'll take a look at Everett's text, and then we'll get started with our show, right? Adultery in the Bible, everyone. Probably hour and a half at the most. We're going to go through all the texts that are there in the Old and New Testament. That's not as many as you might think. Although there are some we're not going to read, like we did with fornication, right? Because they don't really say anything. They're just the word. But I thought, we covered some pretty good material in that video. So this will complement that, and at least hopefully give us all a better perspective on these words and their use in the Bible, and what what we should be looking for if there's a problem with someone. And again, as we've talked about in the Bible, and as we know, this isn't meant to be used as something to go around running around judging people. And if there's a problem, hey, we're not here to let people destroy themselves, or if they want to keep saying they're something and they're clearly not, right? Then that's something we have to address. But otherwise, we make mistakes. That's gonna happen. Sorry, I mean, everybody. We can apologize in advance, whatever you want, but you can do things to minimize, right? Joseph, Potiphar's, there's lots of stuff we can do. But we also have other situations and people where we don't do what's right? Even like Paul. So let's not take this in a way that means to go running around judging everyone, but to use to understand what pleases God the Father and Jesus, and how we're supposed to treat each other. Right? They're really all bound up in these acts. Adultery, fornication. We can make mistakes, but really, if we're practicing the three things, that's all they're going to be. They're not going to be a way of life or something we keep doing throughout our life. At least, not to some degree, right? We need to be distinguishable from other people who don't claim to be Christian and may not even do it as much as some who do, right? So either way, some people struggle more so with things than others. And so even then, ultimately, it will be God the Father and the Son. But they tell us how they feel about these things. So we don't want to displease them, do we? We don't want to hurt other people. And if we have, then we don't want to keep hurting other people, do we? I don't think any of us really do. It happens. But we want to then mitigate that, right? Minimize it and stop it so that we don't get hurt too. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Everett says, Greg, can you touch on John 10:34? Why was it a new commandment? Also, was agape ever used in the Septuagint? Pretty sure it was there, Everett, but we can answer your last question right now. The Hatch and Redpath concordance to the Septuagint. Highly recommend you get a copy if you don't have it. It's basically in Greek, though. But if you know the word, like just even your basic Strong's or word, and to look up in a Bauer and Gingrich lexicon, but even a Strong's word level, if you can look that up, you can look it up in the concordance, Hatch and Redpath I just showed you. Gives you every reference, a full concordance of the Septuagint, basically. And other readings, alternate like Aquilus, Maccus, Theodotion, gives some of that. Okay, so Everett wanted to know if the Greek word agape, right, often translated love. Like right near the front here with all this other stuff. So I'll just look real quick. These pages stuck together. Hagios. Angelos. Yeah, agape. I'll tell you how many times, too. Basically, right? I mean, there could be more or less a few. But Hatch and Redpath is pretty accurate. Well, in that exact form, it looks like it's used. Let me just verify here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It gives some apocryphal books in here too. I'll just say 15 to 20 times. It looks like, and it gives multiple references at the bottom of the list on pages 6 and 7, Everett. Hatch and Redpath, concordance to the Septuagint. So yeah, it's definitely used in the Septuagint. And then you want to know about the text, John 10:34. Thank you all for joining me. We're going to start the show in like a couple minutes. We just had a question from one of our regular contributors, our very long-standing brother Everett. Are you sure that's the text? Like, I didn't think that was the text. Everett, you want to verify that text? Maybe if you can do it real quick, we can add it. We can check it. Let me see if you change that. I'm not seeing a new commandment in John 10:34 though, Everett. Right, that's the account where Jesus is talking to the Jews, and in the whole sons of God are gods, right? So you reference John 10:34. Now I am familiar with the text, right? In fact, I think I can find it. I'll pull up the NWT. He's giving them a new commandment, that you love one another just as he loved them. Is that the one, Everett? I believe I have it right here. John 13:34, Everett. Did Everett correct it? Bankhead. Oh, yeah. And that reminds me. Good to see you, Bankhead. And Betsy. Bankhead and Betsy, very good to see you guys. Bankhead is on the move. And I think soon Bankhead and I will be having an interpersonal meeting with each other. And of course, Everett. Everett, we're already fully engaged with Everett. And TKS, very nice. Barnabas on fire. And Sonia Carbajal, very, very nice. If I miss anybody, I apologize. Okay, let me bring up the text, John 13:34, right? In the New World Translation. I don't care what you NWT haters think. You know that, right? Okay, good. Unless you have something legitimate. If you do, yeah, I care. If you don't, no, and you shouldn't care. John 13:34, I'm giving you a new commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you, that you also love one another. So let's just look at that, the Bible Hub. I would say initially, though, that the newness, see, initially you brought me to John 10:34, Everett. It's okay. Thought we were going Trinity. That happens, you know. Oh, yeah. John 10:34. It's a good question, right? Because, you would figure that's basically, and he summarizes the law as basically saying, love, you want to others is what you want them to do, to love each other the way you want others to love you. I'm a new command I give you, love one another, as I have loved you. So you must love one another. King James, a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. So I would say that the new command part is involving him, right? He's the new part, because now we know the extent to which we are to go in showing our love for one another, right? And I believe when we look at the things that show his love for him, right? I've got the NWT overlaid with Bible Hub right here, just in case I want to like quickly look at all the context, you know. I could do that with Bible, but here I can see all the different translations at one time. So you kind of get a little both sometimes. It's pretty cool. But I would say that the extent to which he showed love is different than anything else, right? He came from above and lowered himself into a servant's form, right? Whether you believe he's Michael or even God, right? Trinity. That's a big sacrifice, to lower yourself into a form where you will be limited, you will be protected to a point, and then have to suffer. So that's extreme love, lowering yourself, right? And he lowered himself even in a slave's form. He did what you're supposed to do, which we consider a servant or a slave in a way that he told us to do, right? We're supposed to like take care of each other. We definitely need help there, you know. It's unfortunate, but we're dealing with a lot, and the world makes it hard on us. We're not all near each other in ways that would make it easier. So we need to overcome, right? We need to be patient. Everything he was, all the way to death, from lowering him, right? Basically, like you read in Philippians 2, like we read in John 1, like we read in Hebrews 1. You know, it's the story, right? It's the love that he showed by listening to the Father. Father said, this is what's going to happen, and the Son did it. He didn't do his own will. He did what the Father wanted him to do. He says that over and over again. He agreed to do that. Obviously, Satan did not, right? Satan didn't do the will of the Father. And it wasn't even close to what Jesus had to go through to redeem us from our choices through what Satan chose to do. So the kind of love Jesus showed is really beyond anything else. He's saying, this is how far I want you to go. This is new, right? Look at what I'm doing to you. Look at the way I'm, in his time and culture, washing your feet. You call me master, teacher, and Lord. And yet I'm the one who's in your midst serving. You want to be the greatest? Be the least, right? The opposite, usually, of what you see. So while it is consistent with Old Testament laws, Jesus' use of this principle, right? Love one another just as he loved us, is very much like the golden rule, right? It is doing to others what you would want them to do to you. Do what that Jesus did would we not have wanted him to do? Think about that for a second. We'll answer it, and then we'll get started, okay? Mm-hmm. So I would say we would have wanted him to do every single thing that he did. So it's actually very interesting when you look at it like that, isn't it, Everett? That again, he is sort of the standard for what we would choose anyway. And why is that? Well, because he's choosing what the Father would do. It's all the Father. It will always be the Father. Even when it's the Son acting as the Father, God on his Father's throne. It's about the Father. He's doing that to the glory of God the Father. The Father is putting him there because he glorifies him, right? Jesus' love, that love we were just talking about, proves the Father is to be glorified, right? He has demonstrated. He only cares about the Father. So how could it not, therefore, only be about the Father when Jesus is literally on the Father's throne? Do you think that Jesus or anyone who's sitting on the Father's throne would think about doing anything but what the Father would do? I just don't think so. You wouldn't be there, number one. And number two, well, what would you choose that would be better than the Father's choice? There is nothing. That's the whole point, right? It's the secret, right? People who choose not to follow what God says think essentially they know better than God. And Jesus knows that's not true, right? So he understands that better than anyone. So his love is, again, perfect. It's a perfect love, right? He wasn't afraid. Jesus didn't have fear. Maybe at the very end, right? Anyone would get a little afraid when you're about to die and be humiliated by a bunch of, sinful people who are effectively far beneath you. Yeah, that would be fearful a little bit, but that's not what I'm talking about, right? That's actually shows courage. You're enduring, you're afraid, and you're still doing it. You're in like the worst possible position, but you're doing it. So who cares what you feel? It's happening. You're enduring. You're going through the pain. Outside of that, Jesus didn't have fear, did he? Now he was prudent. There were times when he wouldn't go place, but that was after he had already demonstrated his courage in entering the temple and confronting false teachers and liars, healing the sick when they would confront him about it, going to places where he wouldn't be well received, speaking the truth even though people didn't want to hear it. That shows love, right? That there's no fear right there. That's someone who knows the Father and is going to do it no matter what. And he did so. And so that love that he showed, if we that's how we should view it, right? In the sense in which the Messiah showed love to us, that's the new part. I kind of got off a little just because I wanted to explore it a little bit. Very important, of course, when we talk about Jesus and the things he did and what it means. This new commandment, right? That's obviously important. But I think it basically relates to the golden rule, but with like our three things, right? Remember when Jesus summarized the law and the prophets and when someone else did and he said they were correct, it was love Yahweh, your God, with your whole heart, soul, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself, right? And we add Jesus to that because he's the fulfillment of the law and the one through whom we gain salvation versus the law. But he told us those things, if you do those things, you get life. And we know that life again is through him. So again, those are three things. In John 13:34, it's sort of like he's saying that, right? It's like, you need to love each other the way I loved you. Okay, this love others the way you want them to love you. That is the same thing. And I'm showing that love to you. I'm showing how far you should go in applying that principle. Is how I understand it. So I hope that was helpful. Again, sometimes, like I mentioned, everybody, we'll take a few minutes and talk about a subject. But unless there's something I didn't cover, let me just check with Everett, since it was his question. And I want to make sure Otherwise, we're going to get started here. But if I miss something, let's see. Okay, I think I said some good stuff there. Hopefully, I helped you. Helped it broaden. This is a good question, right? Because it's a little bit different than our typical Golden Rule text and New Commandment, but I think that makes sense of it, and so hopefully that was helpful. Awesome. Good work. All right, so let's do it, everyone. CWJahTalk number 50. This is important to me. This is kind of like an anniversary test. I'm halfway there. Number 50. It seems like a long time ago, but in one sense, not really. It's like I can remember that time when I first did the first one. I'm like, okay, I'll do 100 of these. Here I am, like 4 years later or something like that, and I'm on number 50. But I've got all the others, right? So we've done a lot of good work. Let's get to it. Yes. Took care of that. Question by Everett right there. I think 2, actually, Everett. I think you got 2 questions in right there. The agape question and the new commandment. Although the love, kind of a little bit, related right there. So, let me go ahead and introduce things. Excuse me. Excuse me. I apologize. I could tell that I wasn't quite ready. I had to clear my throat a little bit more. Okay. I like the old days. Welcome to CWJahTalk number 50. Adultery in the Bible.